Hello, it's Lee. Well, this video is indeed about, or the attempting to talk about, in whatever detail we can, about self-responsibility and this being itself the very way of personal freedom from things. Now, that is not to say, of course, do whatever you want doesn't matter, because we have natural default laws that take place. What of course we're talking about is an enlightenment that is the one and only, that is basically the very recognition, the very rejoining, the relinking, right? Religion means to relink. So, names aside, what we're trying to do is find complete and lasting happiness. Well, for those of us who are, to know deeply and innately and personally that it is available, and that it is a common thing that is there for any sentient being who will apply his or herself to it to find it. Now, we're in a world where we're barraged, of course, as you know, with very, very many suggestions from many sources. They come from all over the place, from all sorts of beings, history up until the present and into the future tomorrow. But while people give thoughts and opinions and recommendations and all sorts of things and even formulas, the main thing is what has actually led to happiness, what is actually bringing a deep, lasting understanding of reality, what can become cultivated in us as something extremely, absolutely stable, calm and confident with 100% surety of it. So, we are all here because we have chosen to come. It is not about two people a long time ago who sinned against a god and voila, we're here. It has nothing to do with that. That's manipulation. We come into such a world because we desired to, in whatever state we were, floating in space in the universal mind. But a thought and a desire creates an endeavor, and this becomes an action and a placement. So we basically, by being allured by, 3D reality, what is it? What can I do with it? How do I play with it? What can I manipulate with it? And being attracted to different components and varieties of sense gratification and pleasures, but also to know that there was going to be pains involved, attractions and repulsions. But at first, maybe the desire being strong and fierce, hindsight is 20/20, but we go into something, and then thereafter we find ourselves in a predicament and say, well, how do I leave this kind of predicament? Because we were told by many authoritative schools of thought that, people did this, and then we're all under the control and the fierce management of different types of god or gods and all this kind of thing. And so it's not to say that God and gods don't exist in a type of variety of form, but what is the ultimate reality? We're always taught to look for the approval. Is it okay if I do this and that? Did I do a good job? Whether we are doing it outwardly in a conscious act, or rather what I mean is consciously aware that we've been programmed to do that, or that we do that in some type of nature that we possess, learned behavior or other, right? From being young children and having the influences of authority figures. Want to say hello? Hi. Hello, kitty. I'll put her down. Okay. She's still young and her name keeps changing, but that's for another video maybe. My kids change her name a lot. Now back on topic. We're trying to find our own individual happiness, because whether there is a God that says this, that, and the other, is it actually making us happy? Whether we have the approval or disapproval of an outward external force, what do we say for ourselves? Have we ever really looked inside and say, what is making me absolutely comfortable and happy and confident and sure of something, giving me a lasting bliss, giving me a lasting knowledge, not having to be always dependent on something all the time? What is giving me my own surety, my own self, as they say, self-realization, self-actualization. Different definitions of a self also, because we are talking about self-responsibility and freedom. Different varieties of a self. People look at, well, am I this body? Am I my thoughts? Am I my feelings? Am I a mixture of all these things into one? What am I trying to free? Do I have a lasting soul that stays independent permanently from all things? Or does that join with something bigger? The deeper esoteric teachings, even though they are often set in plain writing in major religious and philosophical works, people that did self-inward searching. It's not just a matter of a God said this. What about what was found inside by mystics and thinkers for millennia? And in the future, who does a real self-discovery? Well, the discoveries that we can make will be common, because when they are true and real, they will be seen as they really are, and anyone can agree upon them. So it is a matter of taking away certain conditions and mind controls and different kind of things. Sometimes even accidentally, or sometimes even with a good intention. Someone wishes to suggest to others to do something or to be a certain way, and it can have a negative effect even though the person did not intend it to be that way. So until we can really have a good, comfortable self-responsibility, self-assessment, it's very difficult to know how to talk to others or even to treat the ailments of others and all these kind of things. But the one enlightenment ends up leading more and more when we can discover it for ourselves and as a common thing, that we're able to, by being happy, by feeling full, by feeling complete more and more and more and more, that it's natural, it's goodness and wisdom are tied in together, because it is the heart and the mind coming into a great moment of oneness, and then we say, well, I have overcome my own problems. I see that my problems that I have are common to anybody. Someone says, oh, you don't know how bad I got it. Well, the person that says that, if they talk about what the problem is, guess what? There are thousands or millions who share the same problem. So it's not uniquely individual. We all feel happiness, we all feel sadness, we all can feel angry, we all have all these potential thoughts that anyone can have is available to anybody else. The emotions that we have are available to anybody else, and we know this. So always looking to be a separate self and justifying our denials and all this kind of thing, but really we share common things by a natural default, by nature. The universe is a nature in this natural ways. Then with that being the case, we examine what is of a permanent type and what is of an impermanent type. So if anybody really thinks about it and is very completely clear and honest about it, they can come to their self-realized conclusion that all problems are indeed temporary problems. Now, eternally those problems can exist and be potentially available. We can fall back into something. But any given problem itself is subject to change. It is not lasting. Similarly, the happiness and the moments of joy and enjoyment that we have, the different pleasures that we seek and enjoy, most of those are also temporary and passing. So we end up getting ping-ponged between pleasure and pain, pleasure and pain. And then to cope with the pain we feel, we can seek a pleasure and a distraction. And then when that pleasure and or distraction ceases, stops, is not eternally abiding in that way, then now I'm back to feeling what? Miserable again, feeling my pain again. So we get ping-ponged in this manner. So what is going to give us the real balance to find that calm? And there are some things to do. The first things to do, or some of the steps that can be recommended, is to say, I forgive myself of all things, so I am not stuck in dwelling in my pain in my past. I can forgive others of all and anything they've done to me, because to keep it, to treasure it, and to keep it, and to fight for it, and to have these denials and these justified things that we do, then there's no ultimate alleviation of pain, and then we keep going on these karmic cycles, blame and hurt. So when we can actually rise above even that, and look at all things from a I don't want to say as suspended as if like on pause in a non-existent way, but in a way that we see the things as they are, the problems and the emotions and the thoughts as they are, and to be perceived as being separate and being common to all, then say, I am not that. I don't have to keep acting out that doesn't have to be my mode, my modality, my paradigm, my mental and emotional paradigm. We don't have to stay like that. So to have the forgiveness, to get beyond doubt, to get beyond the seeking of approval from all sorts of other entities external to us, because even if there is such a thing as a God and gods and all these kind of things, even if that's the case, then if they are a certain way, if they truly are themselves enlightened and in love and light and happiness and ultimate enlightenment and realization, then they would be kind and not domineering and vicious and setting up all sorts of rules and all sorts of things that keep people stumbling, keep people in fear and guilt and shame, and always on the need to look for something else. Me personally, I never liked the idea of blind faith. It's nice to have that conviction that you don't have to actually see something in minute details to understand it, but at the same time, always the downside of it is that, do you really know that such and such is true or not, is actually the case or not? What we can know, apart from whatever mystical awarenesses we have and self-awarenesses and all sorts of things, experiences with all sorts of entities, could be beneficial and divine, and experiences with entities that are negative. But for all that, we can bring it back to the heart and say, is this positive and of a lasting positive nature, or is it a temporary little treat or a little tiny something that goes away, and then I'm back to being my not so enlightened self. So we have to take a real true self-responsibility. We can live our whole lives in shame and doubt and fear and denial and blame, but did that get you anywhere? You can say, oh, the world is bad, the banking system is so evil, and oh, these nasty evil entities control the world and all that, but do they really? Do they really? When we get to a certain degree of self-responsibility and understanding, we can remember that we chose to come into such a place, and we can remember that there is a way to get out of such a place and such a conditioning. And by doing so, or the way to do so, is to have a deep understanding, to want to do that. And that is a natural endeavor to be harnessed, or to use the word of yoga, to join, to link, joining with our own highest level, which is safe and aloof from all things. Now, people go through much of their life, and I've gone through much of my life, the fear, the guilt, the shame, the uncertainty, then always looking for an outside answer. Always looking for an outside answer. Always looking for who may be able to describe to me what it is. But we forget, and yes, it's not to say we don't need help, we don't have to read, it's non-helpful to read a book or to ask someone who's done a lot of self-searching, even to watch a video. You can watch a fool like me, an imperfect guy, but to say the things that I found to be lasting and true and wonderful is available to anybody, and that's a natural default. And we don't have to always look outwardly, because if we're looking always to look for approval, then we're always also going to find someone's disapproval also. Now, those things can help to spur us on to higher levels of perfection, but in the end, it was only leading to our own enlightenment anyway. It's not to go to a place and say, it's like being seduced or enticed by the glamour of someone else, the glitz and the glamour of something else, other than that very inward joy. Someone can promise a different heavenly planet and all sorts of planets that are wonderful paradises, and they may well indeed exist. And even the Buddha himself talked about, yes, there's heavenly planets and realms of existence people can go. In Christian Bible and in other books and other works and other thinkers and mystics have said the same thing. There are places that are much better than this earth that we can go. But to what degree are those places making us absolutely lasting in happiness? That's a question. What I would wish to pose to people that think that they have only one short life and that's it, and then they'll go to some better place. Well, if anyone dies right now, if I died right now, or if you died right now, being in the mental and emotional state that you are right now, and that I am right now, do we say that we have final perfection, or do we say that if I go to a heaven that's wonderful, yet do I still have to work on things inwardly? Would I be free of all modes of negativity? Would I be free of some fear, some guilt, some shame, some doubt, some jealousy, these types of things? Am I free from that, or do I still have that? Am I still attached to a person, a face, a name? Do I have this face? Am I to be called this name forever and ever and ever and ever? So we ask ourselves, I got a cat hair on me. Hey, she's sleeping right here now. We ask ourselves, what can give us the lasting happiness? What is a formula, or what is a way to get there? And it can only be by a real good self-assessment. And this has to be, if we're going to find it, individually worked on. We can't say, because I've had talks with people that just said, well, just believe that's enough. Just believe that's enough. But does the belief of a better world make you happy right now? Is it going to make you happy then? Are you going to automatically be a better person then when you have that? When all external evils have been extinguished, did that give me internal happiness? Maybe. But how do we how do we extinguish those evils? Do we have to say it also has to stop within us? Because as long as any negative thing exists inside of us, there's a potential for it to come out. Potential for a bad thought to come, a bad word to come, conflict to arise. We've been so, in this planet, we're so addicted to conflict, right? Fight and bang and blame and all sorts of things. And then there are those that can benefit very greatly from that, right? There are people that can get money from that. There are people that can manipulate and use with that. Maybe we've done it ourselves. Have we been totally innocent? Is anybody completely free of bad karma? So what we're trying to do is discover a way to really have true answers. And whether we can even believe in past lives and future lives and all sorts of things, but to bring it down to the now. Am I happy? Am I free? Am I working on releasing my negativities and my wrongs and my ignorances and my naiveties and my any negative quality at all? Fear, doubt, shame, guilt, jealousy, all these things. Am I doing something to alleviate it and grow out of it? Why am I attached to those things? Why am I attached to those things? It's those guys, they did it, this person's, they're to blame. Why am I attached to that fear, doubt, shame, guilt, jealousy, etc.? Ask yourself those questions. I don't want to be one of the people on a video, you. No. Common to all people, potentially available to all people. Ask yourself that. Why am I addicted to that? Why am I falling back into these patterns and habits? Whether or not someone's gaining, why am I doing that? Why am I agreeing to that? Why am I letting that have power over me to put me back into fear and shame and doubts and all these things, the guilt? Why am I letting myself fall back into that? Ask yourself that. Similarly, ask yourself, what can I do to get myself into a better mode of being right in the here and now, and setting up for myself good things for the future? Can I make good karma for myself? Of course you can. Of course I can. Can I get something that's going to be not a sense gratification? Can I get something that's going to be more of a internally stable nature, a way of being, an isness, a nowness, adjoining with universal mature mind, universal mature heart? Can I go with that and then keep it? Of course you can, and of course I can. And that can be found by a natural default. That can be found by looking inside and saying, yes, I want that. Apart from, even if you close your eyes and just say, apart from anything out there, how can I really be secure and happy and peaceful and that itself naturally leads to the assisting of others, the helping of others. Right? The ideal of the bodhisattva, or the saint, the person that loves. When the heart becomes mature, when the mind becomes mature, you can become more parental. But that's not a way of using and abusing. That's a way of lifting everybody else up. And even to say, I wish to see you rise above me, even get better than I am. How many people want to do that? That's a big challenge. That's a big test. But that is indeed the way of it. A simple paragraph or so that was written about the Buddha was to say, it's not about the Buddha, but Buddhahood. Just to use the name, Buddhahood is the idea. Never mind Siddhartha, the Shakyamuni Buddha, for a moment. The point being, can I be that? What is my own Buddhahood? What is my own highest nature? What is my own highest nature? Ask yourself that. Is the highest level fear, doubt, shame, those guys, oh my goodness? No. The highest nature is sublime understanding and sublime emotional calm. That and that alone is the highest knowledge. And even before we have it, just as the guy in the video, I don't have that ultimate knowledge and ultimate calm. But more and more I saw myself, even throughout my own life, get closer and closer, even as you are getting closer and closer. And how much more when we apply ourselves. So our own Buddhahood, our own highest nature, can indeed and is only that. So the paragraph that I wish to mention was simply that look at someone like Buddha, or a person, an entity in Buddhahood, who has no thought for self because he is already self-complete, self-possessed, full of joy and contentment and knowing, and is able to be a fountain of assistance and beauty and health and all sorts of things for others, with no thought for self, and by being that, completely happy. Whereas the more a person has thought only for small temporary self, the more and more miserable you are, the more enemies you can potentially create, the more problems you're putting for yourself, the more being locked in. The more you are locked in the idea of here's my permanent self, the more you're going to be locked into a 3D planet like this. Look at me, I own the world, I have all the wealth and all the power, but it is nothing. It is an illusion, it's nothing. Hence what Jesus Christ said, what does it really gain a person if they get the whole world but then lost their soul? Because now you've forgotten yourself. You've forgotten your highest nature, your real freedom from things, your real power, your real beauty. It is not to be locked in such a conditioned state. A person had a desire to do that. You and I had a desire to go into material nature. Like they said in the Hindu schools, well, sentient beings are here because they want to be the lord of material nature. Well, what an achievement. Eat, defecate, sleep, die. Aging, sickness, and death. And that's the achievement. This is not an achievement. This is not something to be proud of. There's nothing here to be proud about. Like when, even in the Bible, in the Psalms, David the prophet is saying, how can a mortal be proud? Why is a mortal proud? With all the ugly and embarrassing things of the body and its aging and decay and all the functions, and then be proud about it. To wear the grudge like a crown, as a certain band said. Why do that? Why have the denial of your own self be your justification of hating or abusing anybody? Imagine that. This is a potential mental state, an emotional state that sentient beings can fall into. But there's even better news in the sense that even the most lost has the potential to remember their higher nature and get out of it. If a being can think and if a being can feel, they have that ability to get out of it. And to look for a better rebirth, because you will die, no matter who you are, no matter what. Even if you're in a spiritual realm that is less dense than the physical, you're not staying that eternally. That will have a cessation. So even an angel, even a demon is not going to be that eternally and eternally. There can be a change, there can be a higher nature. Now, humans can indeed be said to be lower than an angel. I'm not saying that we're better than anything like that. I'm just saying even the human being has the ability to think and feel and to say and to recognize I can get a happier, higher nature. And that's by having a real understanding and a desire to do it. And there can be help of all sorts of beings, angels, bodhisattvas. It's the same thing. Can assist others to get out, even if just a small reminder, a small suggestion, even to say, you too can be free, you too are Buddha, you be happy, be fully joined, fully linked with your own highest nature. And the step to get there is just to say, yes, that is my highest nature, and I can do it. Who or what is stopping me? I stopped myself when I did such and such a thing, when I believed in such and such a thing. I kept myself down by such and such a thing. But no one can take away your freedom of thought, your freedom of choice. When you close your eyes, we don't have to close your eyes, I'm just saying, close your eyes and you're alone at night in bed or whatnot, or doing a meditation, saying, here I am, and I am the master of this. How do I get to the higher stage? What is going to propel me? It has to be by my own want to do it. No one can make you do it. You hear of horrible mental, emotional states that become very, very popular religions, not by necessarily it was a fully enticing mind and heart, but got spread out and accepted and became the norm, and yet ignorance and misery is the fruit of it. There is no final enlightenment. People are always saying, well, here a person's lot is indeed to die, but in heaven I'll be happy. But to say, well, why not try to be happy and peaceful right now in the here and that now? And in heaven state, are you still subject to change? Will you be the person that you are right now? Are you going to keep on going until you find that heavenly state? So no matter what planet we can be born upon, or whatever dimension we're in, are we helping ourselves to become full with the great universal mind and the great universal heart? And are we helping anyone else to do it? Are we hindering? Oh, well, I saw the truth and it's bad. You should believe it too. Trust me, it's all horrible. No, that's not it. Or to say the ultimate truth is that you are your body and you'll be resurrected or something like that. That's not the ultimate truth. Or this paradise of a planet, this is a heavenly thing where I can eat as much as I want all day long and never get fat, or I can swim in a golden lake all day long. But these are all sense gratifications. Even that, would they eventually not get boring maybe? Because they're just temporary things, flavors and little things. There can be a great variety, but is that itself the highest level? So we each can ask ourselves that question. It's not for anyone to say, here it is, you must believe that and do that and do that. That's a very bad language. When anyone says you must do this and you must do that and that, well, is that because they felt that and they don't feel that they're right until someone else agrees? There are a lot of religions that do that, particularly the most popular ones, the ones with the biggest numbers in the planet right here. Do they not do that? What is making us feel really happy? Happiness itself is not about the belief in something, it's about a state of realization. When the mind stops looking for distractions, approvals, pleasures, and justifications of pain and doubts and fear, we can put that all aside and say, if this world to be vacuumed up or just disappear, or everything turns white and then and it's all gone, what are you? How would you feel and think? What would be your state? Take away everything, what's going to be the state? When we die, what's going to be our state? We have to try, if we want to be a little happy. I don't want to say what someone should do, but if someone would want to find true contentment, then you have to look inside to keep it. It has to be within, and then by being good within, then it can be good without. If there is a place of a heaven and different levels of heaven, then it would be so because the residents there would be of a certain way. Not just because the externals are there. Even this planet could have been a living paradise, but because of the insecurity, I don't want to say the hell inside, but that's a word for it, the insecurities and the fear, the doubt, the shame, the desire of competition. This is based on fear and insecurities and pride levels. And we're all guilty of many things. But because of these things, then human beings even on this planet, as we can look at, have made lots of ugly things. Wars and pollutions, and look at the state of the world. Lots and lots of natural disasters, lots of things. And now we're looking at it and saying, oh, that's ugly. But it was a certain nature within that caused that. So what to do about that? The more peaceful, the more balanced, the more respectful we are to self, by default, the more respectful we are to others. But even to have no thought to self, no even idea of self, just to exist for others and for the benefit of things and to increase things for the good, that itself is Buddha nature, and doesn't have to be rationalized or thought. It doesn't have to be a 5,000-page book. It doesn't have to be tantric methods of gaining powers and things. It just be natural goodness. And this itself is wisdom. The highest level of wisdom is maturity, and maturity is naturally good and caring and calm by its own default nature. So if that's indeed our highest self, how do we get there? What's stopping us from getting there? That's for all of us to think about if we want, for all of us to work on if we want. Look within, deeply within, and then we can find really pacified and really true. Be true to yourself. Realize the laws of karma are there by natural default. Because some people take the teachings of wisdom or the Dharma and say, oh, there's a hidden Dharma and it doesn't matter what you do, that's the great secret. No, it's not. You'll have natural karma, there's cause and effect. You can't escape it. The natural state of being above karma and negative effects is naturally being good, being mature. As long as we're attached to the physical and the material, we'll keep coming back to it. The mind and the heart want it. They keep trapping themselves in it. Eventually, a sentient being gets bored of all of it, and after numerous lifetimes says, I think I've had enough. See, it's not about pressuring and fear-mongering. It's about allowing for a planet like this as a school, if you want to call it that, and then saying, here's a place where the entity can, indeed, eventually, by doing this, that, and the other, learn for itself, okay, I've had enough of that negative karma and aging in sickness and death. Now, by my own natural desire and want, not being forced upon me by a religious body, but now by my own want, I want to get out of here, I want something better than this. When we get to that stage, then we really start to look for the enlightenment. It's been individually chosen, not forced in a societal structured manner, but now we have wanted it ourselves. Then the path is truly, authentically desired and wanted by the sentient being, you and I, and whomever. And then really we desire to get out, and we do. Many stages, a few enemies here and there, but indeed the biggest enemy was still the self, the confusion, the fear, the doubt, the guilt, the addiction of conflict. But eventually, the more we conquer our own inner demon, then the less the external demons have power over us or have anything much to say. Say, well, I'm going to die anyway, what are you going to do to me? Make me scared? If I put my own fear down, you don't have anything to say to me. Within me you have nothing. That's what the Christ said. Within me you have nothing. So if we can get to that state, then we are transcending all things. And even before we're there, we can understand that it is the truth, and the heart deeply knows it, and the back of the mind somehow deeply knows it, and then it becomes self-realized. Once self-realized, self-actualized. So keep working on the path, working on the enlightenment, working on just the calm beauty of existing, the calm beauty of being. If there is an eternal state to be, it's certainly not in fear and doubt and shame and conflict. That's not the highest level. These are all things lesser than. They'll be available, but what keeps us out is being joined with that nature. And it is any individual's nature. Any individual has a Buddha nature, and this can easily be self-realized. We just have to try to do it, have to apply a little bit, and then we'll see that it is the case. I could make the video longer and repeat myself, or recommend all sorts of books, but if we look inside authentically, we can find that it is reality. And then the freedom is the freedom from our own doubts. The real freedom is that, okay, I can be that. I don't have to convince myself or keep telling myself that I'm not that. I was thinking, well, just to make mention of it, of certain styles of Buddhism, if you want to call it that name, particularly in the Chinese Chan system, or Chen, which became the Zen, but names and styles and disciplines are up to individuals to do. But the point of me making mention of this is to say, and I believe what they had said, and I had come to the conclusion of my own self before I even read someone else thought it. See how common it all is? We can all do that. We get delight when we see, oh, you also saw that, because I discovered that for myself, and you discovered that for yourself, and we can absolutely agree upon it, because it's true. And in, I'm rambling a bit, but in the Chan system, to call it that, is to say everybody already is enlightened, everybody already is a Buddha, but had forgotten that nature, or had been allured to not be that nature, or had, putting it in another way, had the dusty mirror, or had been looking everywhere except at the self, and to say, the only way I can get it is by me becoming it. There's no one to make it happen for me. There's no one to do it to me. I have it. I have to uncover it. I have to open my eyes. I already am that. I already am that. I just have to realize it. I believe that very much is the truth. Anyways, those are my thoughts, and I wish you very well in your search for bliss and happiness and calm and knowledge and all those wonderful things. A sincere namaste and well-wishing, and maybe if I said anything that was beneficial, I'm happy. But it's not me that possesses and owns goodness, it is all of us that do let those things promote themselves in us. When we stop mentally focusing on the negative things that are suppressing those good things automatically float up to the surface, if you will. Or like a balloon, now the string has been cut, goes up by itself, but we ourselves are causing it to stay down. There you go. Peace, love, and blessings. Have a beautiful moment. Catch you soon.